Bilt is growing up. Hyatt and Chase extend their partnership. New cards coming. Mark's going to talk about his Universal trip, California with his daughter. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel. So welcome back, Mark. Well, I guess with our recording schedule, it's been a little bit since you went to California, but this is the first time we're getting to talk about it.
Yeah, we pre-recorded a little bit like a couple days earlier because of the trip. It feels like it's been 2 full weeks. It's been like 8-9 days since we were in California. So that feels like forever ago too. I don't know. Time just kind of feels weird right now. Came back, was a little jet lagged. I was a day off because we flew on Monday. The kids didn't have school, but I sent a buddy a message. I'm like, hey, on Friday, do you want to come out to dinner with me and another buddy? He's like, do you mean like tonight? And I was like, I don't know why I put it as Friday when it was that night, but I was still thinking it was Thursday. It was just all out of whack.
Looking forward to hearing more about the trip, all of that coming up. I guess you're lucky because you avoided, the big FAA mishaps over the weekend. And we maybe had to talk about it on this show, except for the fact that the shutdown appears to be over as of today, or at least the agreement's in place. And so hopefully we'll be back up and running with planes at full capacity here pretty soon.
Yeah, I do think there will be probably a little bit of a rolling cascade that happens throughout the week, even if they sign this thing on Tuesday or whatever. I think what happened over the weekend will have ripple effects, maybe not major, maybe nothing more than any other type of winter storm or things along those lines. But we did get hit with a little bit of snow up here too. Chicago got hit quite a bit, and the Chicago seminars were this weekend. So I think a lot of people were dealing with delays and cancellations from that on top of all the FAA stuff. So yeah, but it'll be good news that this should be figured out and hopefully smooth sailing for the holidays coming up. This would have been terrible if it had happened all around Thanksgiving, which is already the worst time to travel, period.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is good that it's changing. I think we got a taste of the ugliness over the weekend, which was pretty rough depending on the airport. Some airports did much better than others. I saw like lines of planes at Newark, for example, hours and hours and hours of delays. And that was, I think, a 4% reduction to start. It hadn't even reached the 10% yet. So, it was only going to get uglier from there. And I mean, the holidays, who wants to deal with all of that? And I think a lot of people were probably looking at canceling tickets, changing travel plans just to avoid all of that. So economically, this is really good. I had a conspiracy theory, though, because I don't know if you saw these videos, but there was a couple videos going around on social media of Delta. One was of a Delta flight attendant explaining the whole thing to passengers, exactly what was happening, the cut downs, just very well spoken. And then another one was a captain, and it just happened to be on the same flight because I saw the other flight attendant in the background. And my conspiracy is that this was Delta marketing. They faked these flight attendant, or they gave them talking points and they filmed it so they could put it out there. Brilliant marketing, because it just looked like they had these really good flight attendants explaining how it's everybody else's fault but Delta's.
Yeah, why would you be explaining that on the plane? I mean, people are already on I can see that. It just doesn't seem like, unless you're talking about like, hey, sorry, why we were delayed on this flight, because I didn't see the videos, but it just seems like a weird thing. And if it was like perfectly framed and all of that, it could be something along those lines. Maybe they had a friend film it or something like that. I don't know, but hey, Delta's the best. We can all admit it.
I came across several angles of the flight attendant during the day. And then all of a sudden there was like this Delta captain speaking. And then I looked at that video and the flight attendant from the other videos was in the background. So that's telling me this is the same plane that this is happening on. And then the captain does the same kind of thing. He does this whole speech about how he promised his daughter he was going to bring ice cream, because he was talking about people being afraid to fly because not enough air traffic controllers. And he's like, I promised my daughter I'll bring ice cream. It was this whole thing. And I was like, with several versions of these videos going viral from several places, I was like, I'm not accusing Delta of this being marketing, because it probably isn't, but it sure, look, if it wasn't, it would be brilliant to market in this way, to create videos like this for an airline.
I don't think it would be wrong if they did and didn't disclose it or had, I mean, it's the same as paying influencers to film videos and make it seem like it was just happened to be that way when they were there and stuff. So I wouldn't blame them if that was the case. I mean, if you're seeing it from different angles and there's a ton of people sharing the video, that's also kind of weird. I wouldn't think to take out my phone and film them giving a speech on why we're delayed, or the FAA. So it had to be orchestrated in some way.
Yeah, and to be clear, I do think this actually happened on a plane. This was a real flight attendant, a real captain. My only thing was that maybe they used it for some marketing juice, or if they didn't, maybe there's a lesson to be learned here about using it for marketing juice, because it was brilliant and I saw people sharing it all over, Delta, how great they are for explaining it, and we're all in this together. And the airlines were facing huge losses here with the cut, and they probably lost money over the weekend, but I think that they're probably very happy that they're not facing that, because if you think it's 10% of reduction in flights, that's a lot of money out of their pocket.
I don't worry about that because we bailed them out. So screw them.
They owe they owe us.
Yeah, we saved
No.
the day. They can take it on the chin for this little bit. But yeah, it does stink when it's out of their control and they want to run things a certain way and they can sell the tickets, and then they're told, hey, by the way, you just got to cut that flight and have a whole bunch of ticked off customers, even though it's out of your control. That's not the best way to run things.
And just a reminder, we haven't solved the air traffic controller problem. There's still a shortage. This was led by the shortage, right? The shutdown put more pressure, more controllers having to work overtime. They weren't getting paid, so more people calling in sick. But that doesn't mean that now that we have the funding, that we don't have this problem, and it's not something that we need to focus on for the next several years, not only to keep us safe because we've seen a number of incidents, but to keep the airline industry healthy and growing because we need the capacity.
And I think this is something we've seen, with pilots too. It's an issue, and everything else in the airline industry. COVID had a lot of people retire early, and they were already a little bit shorthanded there. And these aren't jobs that you can like learn in a couple weeks and get up and go. It's not a cashier at Target or whatever. This takes a lot of training, a lot of effort. So to fill that pipeline, even if you put a big stress on it, give all these sign up bonuses, however you want to drive people to getting into that career, it's going to take years before they're fully trained and ready to go. So it's not going to be a quick fix. This has been a long time coming, and whatever they do is going to take some time.
Yeah, and it's a job that not everybody can do, if we're being honest. Not only just mentally how much you can handle and what you're willing to handle, the amount. So it's a very niche job that you need to identify people when they're young. We do this in other countries where you have recruiting, and the amount of money needs to be spent. And I'm glad that it's become an issue that we're focusing on, because we all get on planes. I mean, that's it. We all get on planes and we rely on these people to keep us safe. And that is hugely important for people like us who don't want to get on a plane and have to think about that. I don't want to have to think about, is the air traffic controller missing sleep, or is the air traffic controller working a double, or did somebody call in sick and now they're down a controller and they're managing more stuff. And that seems to be what's happening quite often now.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't blame them if you're not getting paid and you're tired, or you screw this. I'm not going in there and stressing, or maybe they need to do something else to make some money on the side to pay their bills. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, even in high paying jobs. So this could be a big stress for them and for a lot of families out there. So hopefully they get the payments out there quickly. They get all that back pay, within a couple days, and everybody's a little bit happier and healthier and can get back to work. And then we'll just have to spend the time and money to recruit more people and maybe pay a bit higher, have better retention, all that type of stuff. But it'll be interesting to see. And you just made me nervous about flying, and I'd rather be ignorant and not pay attention to any of it. So thanks.
Well, it's all the captain. I'll send you the video of the Delta captain going, he's going to get the ice cream to his little girl, and you should feel good about that, because nothing is going to get in the way of that. I mean, they are keeping us all safe. What a burden that the air traffic controllers carry every single second of every single day, when you're constantly directing machines that if they crash into each other or if something happens, it's catastrophic. And just, I guess this is a good time reminder that there are so many flights every day, and it's one of the safest forms of travel. Tens of thousands of flights a day that go off without incident because of these great people.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I'm sure it's gotten more automated over the years and made things a bit easier. But you think a lot of stuff would be, as AI grows, does it help more, or I don't know? Then are you more at risk of being hacked and somebody just changing everything? I don't know. Maybe the future's
All right,
looking
now,
grim.
now you got me all scared. Now we're both scared. Are you happy? All right, maybe we should talk about something else. Bilt was in the news a lot this week because we learned some more about their transition to cardless, what's going to happen to Wells Fargo accounts, how people are going to be able to transition, and that we're going to get 3 new credit card products, right?
Yeah, we don't know much about the credit card products. We know it'll be like a no fee, a low fee, $95, and then a higher premium fee. We just don't know what that offers, what's the difference between them. And this is kind of a messy situation, too. If you signed up originally when Bilt launched, I don't remember. Do you remember what the bank was? The initial, like,
I
crappy little
don't.
bank? Yeah. So it was some crappy little bank. They launched a couple hundred cardholders. They had to reapply to get a Wells Fargo card. So they had to burn a 524 signing up the first time. Then they burned one going to Wells Fargo. And now Wells Fargo is like, hey, this isn't working for us, I'm guessing, or maybe it wasn't working for each other. But we saw the article where Wells Fargo was losing money hand over fist with these Bilt cards. So cardless comes in. Normally, they're buying the book, when they take over a card portfolio. That doesn't seem to be the case here. So they're going to do a soft pull as they move to cardless early next year, but it will probably count another 524 strike against you. Some people are over 524, probably don't care. If you're under and you recently grabbed one, that could take up like your last slot and stuff. And if you were one of the first people, this could be the third time that you've gotten triggered for a card that you signed up for, which is unheard of.
Well, that's early adopters syndrome, right? If you got in early before they switched to Wells Fargo, you were definitely early in on the Bilt phenomenon. Yeah, this is not great. I mean, so the Wells Fargo card's already gone now, right? And the cardless cards aren't coming till the beginning of February, so you are in a little bit of a period where you cannot get a Bilt card if you don't currently have one. But it seems like you'll have more robust offerings. Premium credit card, that's not a surprise here. And these are some of the most valuable points. So there's a lot, and we do know some of the people behind this program are very much in tune to our scene and being nerds about miles and points and understanding benefits. And not that they're going to offer anything of outsized value, but I think that maybe they'll come up with something interesting.
Yeah, I think they will, but they won't do anything that's like stupid that you get sometimes with other banks where they just don't realize what will be taken advantage of. So it works in our favor somewhat, against us somewhat, because it'll be creative, like their built day transfer bonuses and stuff like that, but it won't be to the point that it will cost them money. But the cool thing is, they're saying that once this all launches early next year, it should be mortgages should be available for everybody, whatever mortgage lender. I don't know if that will be tied to certain cards you have, if it's free versus not free. That's what I would imagine. I'm guessing that premium card is probably going to have free mortgages attached to it with any lender. Where we've seen it announced that it was going to be United Wholesale Mortgage was the first company, and now this will be maybe a separate program. We also saw them pair up with Venmo in a way that was supposed to help pay mortgages. I don't know how that's going to intertwine. It's like they're trying to land a lot of planes at one time, throwback to the air traffic controllers, and we don't have a lot of info. So it's every day we get like a new news blast from them, but there's not much substance to it. So it's kind of frustrating in that point, but we should know a lot come January.
Yeah, and the mortgage thing is very exciting and could be incredibly lucrative just to have the card just for that. If you think about people with their mortgage payments and getting nothing on them currently to be able to earn points. But I mean, like you said, maybe the no annual fee card, probably you don't earn mortgage, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be. Are you going to have to pay up for the premium card for that? But it's good that they're making moves. Another move that they made this week is a very welcome one, and this was sort of leaked beforehand, but Rakuten, you can now earn Bilt points there, and it's a 1-to-1 sort of thing, well, or 1,000 to 1, whatever, but it's the same value as you get with American Express membership rewards for the first 6 months. And then base level members kind of get screwed. Then they only get half of that, and then all the other elite members continue with that valuation. But if we're just talking about this same ratio as membership rewards, I'd choose Bilt for sure.
Yeah, I think most people are going to like those transfer partners better, think it's a more valuable option. I would still roll with it for the 6 months. The fear is it's always been kind of hard to move from membership rewards to something else or cash back, and it took time. And then if you try to transfer, do they make it cash back for a quarter? I don't know. Rakuten is saying that should be easier to switch, more seamless. And they also said normally, like if we set up this Bilt thing and there's a payout coming on 11/15, normally you would just get whatever you had previously signed up for, and Bilt would start the next time. But they're saying that as long as whatever you have picked on the 14th, that's what you should get paid in. So if you pick Bilt before, then you should get Bilt, and that could be huge for people that have like a $200, let's say 20,000 membership rewards. They could switch that to 20,000 Bilt points coming. And when you do make the change, it shows as Rakuten cashback. I don't know if that's going to be updated to Bilt points. The way they laid it out was that you get for cash back, you get this many Bilt points. So I think that they might be putting it into your account as cash back, and then once it goes to Bilt, they transfer that. Maybe Bilt's processing this on their end because the sign up was all through the Bilt app to make that change. So maybe they have a unique way to do it versus showing his membership rewards points normally. It's going to show as cash back, and then they transfer that into Bilt. I don't know. Like Rakuten's buying Bilt points from them at a penny a piece. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see if that changes once this gets rolling. Maybe it will show as Bilt points going forward, but this first time, because it's right before the cutoff date, is going to be different.
Amex can't be happy about this. Is this another case of like in the contract we didn't specify that Bilt, which isn't really a bank or a true loyal or like a travel provider, that maybe they work as a like a loophole in the system? I don't know, but you know, if American Express was a good sort of thing before, this is definitely better. So it's good for customers. I wouldn't expect American Express is happy about it.
No, I don't think so. And then you'll have to, wonder, we'll have to wait and see. Does American Express, is this like the future is American Express will not be a partner of Rakuten? I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't seen anything like that. But you have to wonder if that's going to be the case. But once the 6 months is up, if you don't have status with Bilt, most people would probably switch back to membership rewards. So I don't think it will be as long-term negative for them. I don't think it will affect them as much. And I think Bilt is still kind of niche compared to membership rewards outside in the greater world of things. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But status will probably be easier to earn if mortgage payments count towards that spend to earn status. It shouldn't be that hard to hit silver status if you have mortgage or a rent payment, which most everybody has one or the other. So we'll have to see if that plays a role going forward and if it makes it easier to earn that 1-to-1.
Yeah, it's good to see them making changes, and Bilt will be top of mind, like you said, for the next couple of months as we see these new products and how they really mature into this multi-card loyalty program as they move from Wells Fargo to cardless, a smaller issuer, certainly smaller than Wells Fargo. So a lot there. But there's some other breaking news. Rove Miles, another interesting provider. We talked about their deal, and you can explain the Travel on Points deal people can get for signing up. But they added Miles and More as a partner, Lufthansa's program. And this is a program that did not have any transfer partners in the US before.
Yeah, and I think that was a law. I don't think the government would allow it. At least that's what I've always heard. And nobody was ever able to crack that nut. And somehow the small up and comer did it. So I don't know if that opens up things for others like a Bilt to go in there and be like, all right, look, you did it with them, let's do it with us, type of thing. But I think this is kind of nice. While their rates, their awards aren't the best and their taxes and fees can be high at times, they do offer up a lot more award space than you can book with partners or even some other airlines offer on their own metal. So this will create potential, especially for that first class cabin that everybody loves so much. I know a lot of people buy their miles when they're on sale just to book that first class cabin at a massive discount. This could be another way to do it. And if you didn't pay attention last time, Rove is a shopping portal, but also a travel portal. You book things through there, you earn points back. They're transferable currency with their partners that they have. There's a sign-up bonus through Travel on Points that you can get that gives you 1,500 if you've never had an account before, 1,000 if you already have an account just for being a Travel on Points reader. So we'll put that in the notes below that you can check that out. But this creates opportunity. And then we've seen some of those hotel rates at like 30x, 40x, crazy levels, which I don't know how it's sustainable, but there's potential here for a bit at least.
Yeah, grab them while it's good. Use it as make sure you're searching, seeing how they pay out compared to others. And like I said, it's unique that it's a travel portal and a shopping portal. So you can earn on booking travel, but also earn on just your regular online shopping, similar to Rakuten or whatever. And it's always good to compare things. And the Travel on Points offer, I don't personally have anything to do with it. Mark works there, but yeah, do that. Get your free miles and just enjoy it and see how it works. And make sure that you're always comparing shopping portals, I guess, and even travel portals too when we're looking at that. But on the shopping portal side, just cashbackaholic or whatever tool you have. Is Road Miles on there? I haven't paid attention to that, but that's
I
always been
haven't
my
gone to
go-to comparison.
cashback
No, Cashback
monitor or
Monitor. Oh my
anything like.
God, that Cashbackaholic is like the old one. Oh, I meant Cashback Monitor. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't gone on there in forever. I just use Rakuten. I'm kind of lazy, so I hadn't really paid attention. And I will also say to go along with that point is make sure you check the bookings directly, because if they're paying 30x on a hotel, maybe they're charging a bit higher through their portal than you could booking direct. And then you have to look at it like, okay, if it's $30 difference, is that 30x worth it? Or let's say $20 difference, so we don't get the math all like combined up. If it's $20 more, but I'm earning 30x on the stay, is that worth it? If I have to give up elite night credit, is it worth it to earn this versus, the 5x you'd earn for booking a Hyatt with your card? All that type of stuff. And there are some loyalty eligible hotels that you can book, so that sweetens the pot a bit, which others don't offer. So there's a lot of intrigue here, and maybe I needed to deep dive it a bit and kind of do a whole bunch of searches and compare what Rove's showing to what I could do directly, and see how it plays out. Some people have said prices are higher, some say they're about the same, but just make sure you're double checking everything.
Yeah, and there's so many travel portals now and so many shopping portals now, and you talk about just going to Rakuten, and I mean, I don't blame people who do that. At some point, there's just so much to do. Every bank has something, and every credit card has a different offering, and maybe a credit here or an increased, you earn more points on this portal and that portal, and the math can get crazy. So, yes, try to do your best to maximize, but also keep yourself sane. And so, if just going to Rakuten makes sense, then yeah, I understand it.
Yeah, I'm over 40. We talked about this before the show. That's like over the hill. I don't have as much mental bandwidth. I need to make things simple.
All right. So let's move on, talk about Hyatt and Chase, and they extended their partnership. Something interesting in the press release, I think they said that the EBITDA from this agreement be about $50 million in 2025, going up to like 100 in 2027. So they're expecting a lot of money coming in from this partnership. And they announced a few things, including that Hyatt Explorer status will be coming for the high spenders on the Sapphire Reserve, probably similar to how you get A-list status after spending quite a bit on the card. So I know Mark is super excited about that upcoming perk. And then they tease a new card. They said that they're going to expand their partnership. We're all expecting a premium credit card, even though they didn't say that. But an extension of the Chase Hyatt partnership. Oh, also more Hyatt luxury hotels coming to the edit on Chase's travel portal.
Yeah, that useless credit, and then we're going to get useless status if you spend $75,000. Likely, that's where we're assuming it's going to land with all those other perks. But Hyatt is kind of genius in this fact that they broke out all their, and they were the first ones, I think, or one of the first to really do this, where you earn milestone rewards along the way based on elite night credits, and nothing's really tied to status except for globalists, where you get the free breakfast and those perks kind of intertwine. Where back in the day, if you had Explorers, you got lounge access certs and you got certain things guaranteed, where now that's earned through elite nights. And part of that was, the MGM status match back and forth. People were taking advantage of that or getting matched from other places or these little promos and stuff. And hey, we got perks for status. We didn't do anything. And they're like, enough of that. But if you spend $75,000 on this credit card, we'll give you that status for free. It's just, you don't get anything. You get a couple bottles of water and you go from a third floor view to a fifth floor view. Way to go.
Yeah, it's not much of a status. I do wonder how, with the new card, a premium card, how the status is going to work. We don't expect Hyatt's going to give globalist status with a premium credit card. I mean, I guess they could charge enough maybe where that makes sense. I do think that globalist will be a spend benefit. That's just my theory. I'm predicting that, throwing that out there. So similar to how you can get Explorist on the Sapphire Reserve, maybe a 75K big spend bonus on the Hyatt premium card gets you globalist. Certainly they'll accelerate the ways you're going to earn. But I think for Hyatt people, I mean, Hyatt has been signing up. They put in this press release that they've grown almost 30% annually. The program has since 2017. And I can tell you, as somebody who's been a top tier member ever since then, it has certainly declined as it gets more members, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, and I think, it's better footprint and more places and all of that stuff too, where 2017, it was a lot harder to find Hyatts at times, and it's getting easier each year, which is nice to see. I don't know. I don't know if they'll throw like elite nights, give you a bigger head start, like 20 elite nights with the premium card, and then you earn maybe 2 nights for, or like the business card, 5 nights for every 10K spend, something along those lines. I don't know that it'll be just a straight spend 75K and here's Globalist, but that's kind of funny when you look at spending that money, the 75K to get Explorers. You would earn enough elite nights if you put that on a regular Hyatt card to get it anyway, but you would have gotten the milestone stone perks along the way. So there's literally no reason to do it unless you want those other things that is offered, like the $500 Southwest credit and the IHG platinum status and A-list status, all that other worthless crap that is involved in that 75K spend. But you're better off just putting it on one of the other Hyatt cards if you care about Hyatt status. I just thought it was kind of funny, and I don't know. I don't know what the point of this is versus just them being able to promote something that's not all that beneficial. But it was weird.
I think it's just for them to be able to add something else to the benefit mix. I don't think that that card, the big spending bonus, is for people like us. I think it's for high net worth individuals, high spenders, and they want this suite of benefits, kind of like obviously American Express has done that for a long time. Things like with the platinum card, you get gold status with Marriott, right? So it's similar kind of thing, another worthless status. So it's not unprecedented. I guess you don't have to spend for that though. So yeah, this is sort of like putting the cherry out there and saying that, and it
But
is
it's not
definitely.
a
I mean,
cherry. It's a rotten tomato.
it makes the IHG status look better though by comparison.
Yeah, the IHG status is much better, and like the Southwest $500 is probably the best thing, but it just doesn't seem all that valuable to me. I don't know that anybody really would go for it. And if they would have made it somewhat valuable, people would have spent on it. So they missed the boat a little bit there. We've seen how that's changed so much for American Airlines. I can't even imagine how many miles they're selling to Citi once they tied all of their status levels to spend on credit cards essentially, and how many people in this space have just gone gangbusters on their cards trying to chase that status, even when it's not that valuable to them because they don't fly American all that often, but it's obtainable and they like it, so they go for it. Where Explorers, who cares?
And this all comes as there's speculation that Chase has not been happy with the way Sapphire Reserves relaunched the business card, all of that sort of stuff. And there are rumors that maybe 200K offers are coming. Dr. Credit was saying that. So we'll see. Maybe Chase has to go back and add more stuff to this coupon book.
Yeah, I could see them targeting some potential customers, which is what it was like a leaked memo or something that said they're going to be targeting select individuals for a 200K offer, which is fantastic. But the problem with the card is the perks they added aren't all that great. The edit credit's pretty useless. The dining credit's pretty limited depending on where you live. It's working at more places right now, but if they would have just made it like a straight dining credit, that would have been beneficial. Or maybe like the Resi credit, at least there's a ton of Resi restaurants. There's less so right now with Chase, and the edit hotels are super expensive. Those are your two big keys there. I mean, StubHub, okay. It's just a whole bunch of like, whatever.
And the most important thing that they don't have that Amex has, Amex is opening up a lounge, a Centurion lounge over in for the F1 race in Vegas. So there you go. Come on, Chase, step it up. Chase actually does that quite a lot. I should give. They were the first ones.
They do it at like
these
golf
pop-up
courses
lounges.
and stuff.
Yeah.
U.S. Open, I think, tennis. But yeah, it seems like they kind of had that arrogance from when they first launched the card and how popular it was. And the reason it was popular because it was simplistic and easy to understand where the value was, maybe a little bit too much, and that's why they lost money. But if they would have kept it simplistic and just like beefed up the travel credit and didn't add all these other perks, it probably would have been fine. They could have raised the fee and people would have been like, all right, whatever. But we've seen in these releases how many of these coupons go unused, and that's where it is. They're making more money on the annual fee because they're saying, oh, you can use these coupons to offset it, and most people aren't doing that.
No, we have a real problem in society today with just leaving money on the table. Maybe that's just in general. But let's talk about your trip. We talked all these serious topics, and we want to hear about California.
Yeah, so we went back, did the VIP tour again, and a little bit mixed feelings about it. I really enjoyed it the first time. I still think there's a lot of value. I think we paid $375 a person through Undercover Tourists, and that included valet parking, which is like $60. It includes a breakfast in the meet and greet area, just kind of like grab and go type of stuff like danishes and parfaits, and nothing major, no like hot items, sandwiches. And then you do the tour with a guide. They kind of walk you through the park, cut lines if there are other people in the fast pass lines. So they'll take you right to the front pass, all of them too, which can be useful at certain times. Then you go to a lunch that's catered, very good. They had, my daughter ate probably like 22 pieces of sushi. So they have all that. It's more private setting. Nobody else is allowed in there. There's usually like one other or two other tour groups in there. And your group is a group of 12. And then you do the lot tour, which is more detailed. You get off the cart, you walk around, you touch the buildings, you walk into a sound stage, you see the prop department. So for movie buffs, this is a really, really cool experience, a really good deal. They're like, hey, I know you love The Good Place like I do. You walk through that whole neighborhood where most of that show was filmed, and you're like, oh yeah, this looks exactly like it. There's the train station, there's the yogurt shop, all that stuff. You're touching it, you're being a part of it, which is really cool. That was lost a bit on my daughter because she's not as big of a movie buff, and she had no clue. They're like, oh, this was filmed here, this was filmed there. She's like, I don't know any of those movies.
That is an interesting point. Like
Yeah,
there's
so it
where
was
Back
lots
to the
of
Future was filmed, and she's like, "What the
yeah.
hell is Back to the Future?"
No, she's seen that, but she's not like super into it. Where Connor, like we were standing out in front of the building, and the car was there, and he's like, this is so cool. She's less impressed by that stuff. She wanted to do more of the rides and all of that. And that park is not great for rides. And having done it 2 years before, I don't think I need to go back there. It's sad that the Fast and Furious ride wasn't up yet. That thing looks like it's going to be pretty epic. But that park really isn't great for roller coaster enthusiasts or anything. You can do it all in a couple hours if you have fast passes. And that's the other cool thing I should say about this VIP pass is it's a fast pass after. We had 9:45 start to the program. So we got in there at 8. You can go there before your slotted time, and we went and did some of the Harry Potter stuff. So they were finishing with the Harry Potter stuff, and I said, we're just going to jump out here. You don't have to spend the whole time with the guide. You can leave whenever you want. It's not mandatory. So we're like, all right, you guys go do those things. We're going to go back and ride the Mummy and take care of some other stuff. Go have a beer in the Simpsons land, all those types of things. So the other thing I'll mention is the Waterworld show there is very good. So I really enjoyed that both times we watched it. But it's a park that's too small, probably. And outside of the lot tour, there's nothing super unique about it. So if you're a big movie buff, I think the VIP is well worth it. Plus all the other food and perks you get. For Orlando, without that stuff, I would probably go with the Express Pass like we did. If you can book it through the hotel with Amex FHR, super great deal. I think they're both equally great depending on what you want out of it. If you want rides, go to Orlando. If you want movie experience, see behind the scenes, have that like unique VIP touch, go to Hollywood.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Hollywood obviously started as a movie studio, and so you actually have a real backlot instead of other parks that are trying to simulate a backlot. They actually do make movies there. Less movies there than ever before, but certainly in the past they made a ton of movies there. And it has Super Nintendo World, you have Jurassic World, so you have a lot of the types of rides you have in the other parks, but it's just not as big a park. And I'm waiting to go for the Fast and Furious next year, but yeah, it's a cool place, and it's a piece of history, and it's a real movie studio theme park mixed. And I'm glad that you had fun. And I am planning on doing the VIP tour with my daughter, but I'm going to wait for the coaster to open because at this point there's nothing to say. And Waterworld, I'm glad you said that because I think Waterworld is probably just among the top amusement park shows or theme park shows I've ever seen. And it's been there for 30 plus years. And Universal built Waterworld in every Universal resort around the world. Osaka, even Beijing just opened with Waterworld. Just think about a new park opening with a 30-year-old show. Singapore, but they never built it in Florida, and I don't know why because it's such a good show.
Yeah, it is pretty epic. And the VIP, you get the center top bench seats, which isn't a big deal. I mean, you can get in there and get a decent seat. If you sit down by the front, you get splashed and water thrown all over you. It's a lot of fun. And my daughter at the beginning, because they're like, she gets off the thing and she doesn't know anything about the movie. She gets off and it's a bag, and they're like, "What'd you find?" She opens, she goes, "Dirt." And everybody's like, "No way." And she's like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." Dirt.
So I've heard people. So you remember the movie, And that when it came out, everybody hated the movie, said it's the worst movie ever. I remember watching it as a kid or, as a teenager or whatever. I liked it. I mean, I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting. And I've heard people talk that they revisited the movie and it's better than it kind of got credit for at the time, but I don't know. But I mean, that show, you don't really need to know what the movie is. It's just, they live on the water and the point is it's a great show and you're like, oh, that's 30 years old. It doesn't feel like it. That's why they just built it in Beijing.
No, and it's by the end, she thought it was really cool and the special effects they have. And I mean, think about this. It's like a little pool that they're doing all this in, and they have jet skis and boats, and the jet skis are going like full speed, turning. They're splashing everybody in the stands. They're going right next to each other all around. It's crazy how technical that is and how hard it would be to do that, not crash or make something out. And then they have a plane fly in and crash and start on fire. It's really well done. It's my favorite thing at that park.
And so to close out, where you stayed at the same hotel again, right?
Yeah, we stayed at the Oceana, which is just a couple miles away from the pier and all that, right across the water from the beach. I mean, you're elevated, so you can't just walk across the street and go to the beach, but you can walk across the street and look at the beach. It's an LXR property with Hilton. I think it's around 100K a night. We used free night certs. Still my favorite boutique property in the US. Just the service is fantastic. They have a really fancy French restaurant there now. It used to be like owned by the hotel, and I think it's rented out. So they give a little bit of priority to that, which I'll talk about in a second. But the rooms, we got upgraded to a suite again, which was massive and really nice. And the pool's in the center. It's just picturesque and very California feeling. Everybody I've ever dealt with at that hotel is top notch service standard wise. But we did jump in the pool when we got back from the park. It was like 6 o'clock at night. This was right after daylight savings, so it had gotten dark. And the front desk agent came out and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I have to ask you guys to leave the pool because it's dark. At sunset, we close down the pool," which means at like 5 p.m. at this point. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's 6 o'clock. Well, there's people dining outside because they have a little outdoor area and we have more reservations coming. We don't want to disturb their dining experience," which I think is kind of crappy because the hotel guests should get preference over the dining guests, and just don't seat people outside then. I don't know. There's an indoor part to this restaurant that's blocked off. They could eat in there. If you're eating outside, just realize that there might be people at the pool. I don't know. It turned me off a little bit, but they did offer to bring up dessert to the room, which they did, which was kind of a cool touch. And then at checkout, I tried to split it across 3 cards, which they were like, "Cool, we can do that." And then the machine broke down after each swipe. So more frustration with these Hilton credits.
Yeah, you were very happy about that when you shared it with me. I was gonna ask you about that, but yeah, I mean, it's weird when a hotel's so good and then they have a weird rule, and you just got to move on from it. It's like, yeah, yesterday, it's right in the middle of daylight savings time. So yeah, yesterday the pool closed an hour later because the time just changed or whatever. But maybe it should be more about 5 o'clock's too early to close a pool. You got to just
especially when it's the
things.
centerpiece. It's the centerpiece of the hotel. Like as soon as you walk out of your room, you're staring at the pool. It's down there. I don't know. It kind of lost on me, but not a lot of people use the pool the 2 times I've stayed there. So I can't complain. And then there's this third floor little like viewing sitting area that's really cool that nobody ever uses. So if you grab a drink from the restaurant, just take it up there and hang out. View of the water, picturesque. I think I have a video that you can throw up for people and check it out. But I can't recommend it enough. If you're staying in the LA area, that's my go-to. Will be going forward forever.
Yeah, if you have Hilton certs, because it's very expensive. That's the
very
caveat
true.
there.
$1,000 a night cash. Well, a very good use of the Hilton certs. Oh, I should give one really good tip. So across the street, the last time we valeted, we were only there for one night, but I did some reading, and there's parking across the street, metered parking, and it's I think $250 an hour. So you can do up to 5 hours at a time on the meter. But at 6 p.m., the meters shut off. They don't start again until 9 a.m. So you can park there. We got there just before 1 o'clock. So we just kind of like sat in front of the car, walked in the little park area, looked at the water, then went and fed the meter at 1 o'clock. So we did the full 5 hours. At 6 p.m., the meter stopped. So for $12.50, I parked that entire night instead of paying the $50 or $60 valet. It's right across from the valet check-in. There's usually spots there. So at least there's somebody standing there. Don't leave anything in the car, of course, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Got up in the morning. you would want to feed it before 9 a.m. Or at 9 a.m. But we left for the park early, got back at 6 p.m. So parked for free. So for 2 nights in Santa Monica, parked for $12.50. That's insane.
That's awesome. I always loved in Hawaii. There were certain hacks, like when you're staying at a very expensive hotel, but then you try to figure out the parking hacks. Always something fun for me, and it's not just us, right? It's other people. I don't want to have to park a mile away and then walk to my hotel. That's a thing too far. But for example, there's this Hyatt hotel that I discovered that the hotel key just opens the gate years ago. It's been fixed now, but I was always got so much pleasure, and I always stay there on points anyway now, so it doesn't really matter. This is when you used to have to pay for parking there, and I just loved being able to tap in. And I remember in Hawaii, like staying at the Waldorf there and reading some of the hacks that some people do parking on those side streets, like in Wailea. Way too. This is not something I would recommend doing. So it really just, it's really
Yeah.
just a balance of stuff. But yeah, that's a deal.
No. Yeah, and I even asked the guys, I'm like, hey, just so make sure, because I looked at the sign and it said only from Tuesday when they do like street cleaning in the morning, you can't be parked there. And we were there Saturday night and Sunday night, so not a problem. So I asked the valet guys, like, hey, we're staying at the hotel, is it cool if we leave it there overnight? And you could tell they didn't want to say yes. But they're like, yeah, just make sure you feed the meter by 9 a.m. I'm like, oh, we're leaving early, so it's fine. They're like, yeah, then you'll be fine.
There you go. So yeah, it sounds like another good trip. Uh, any takeaways, differences between taking Connor and taking Charlotte? I mean, was there any different takeaways from? I mean, it's almost the same trip, right?
Yeah, it was very similar. We did a little bit more with Connor. We went downtown, and he's more into seeing the city and being into everything. And she's more, I just want to do like the fun stuff or anything that I'm interested in. And I don't want to really, I don't care if I experience LA as a whole. I don't want to see the Hollywood sign. Let's go to the park and let's go to the pool. So different experience in that way. Like we walked down to the Santa Monica Pier, took like 20 minutes. It was a nice walk, and she didn't want to ride any of the rides. He rode all the roller coasters and all that stuff, which was cool with me. Like saved some money there. And then we had the Lululemon credit, so we went to the Lululemon to see if there's anything she wanted, but they didn't have a big selection like the store around us. So she passed on that and went back to the hotel and just kind of hung out. And it was way more relaxing where he's like, all right, let's go do some stuff. So definitely differences between the two.
Yeah, that's interesting when you get to kind of compare and do the same sort of activity. And it's great to have that one-on-one time. We've talked about that. I think more parents should do that. And thanks for setting the example for everybody out there, because I think that it's not just we all get caught up in family dynamics. Some of us travel with families, but that one-on-one time, creating that dynamic that doesn't exist in the bigger family travels, and just sort of eventually finding your own thing, right? I'm sure you'll take more trips, and you have taken trips in the past, solo trips with her. So it all just one trip builds on the next one.
Yeah, and even if you're doing a trip as the full family, you can break off and do things that maybe only interest you and one of the kids, and leave the other kid with the other adult, and kind of do it that way too. Like we were talking, we have to go back to Orlando in February. We're staying at the Evermore in the condos, which I'm really excited about. And I'm like, hey, do you want to go back to SeaWorld? And my wife's like, no, I don't want to go back. And my son's lukewarm on it. My daughter's like, yeah, I'll go with you. So maybe we'll go do that and ride coasters. Although I offered up both things, Sean, and they said they'd rather do Fun Spot again.
I mean, SeaWorld if it's got much better coasters. So if
Yeah.
you're trying to focus, like when we go to SeaWorld now in Orlando, it's just rides. Like maybe I'll walk through like the shark aquarium because I like it, but there's no line. It takes me a minute. I like the penguins, certain things like that. But I'm not going out of my way to see shows, or the vast majority of what I'm doing is not animal related. And so, that's just the way it is. I never really loved animal parks in that way. So it was never my thing. And SeaWorld was never my thing. And yeah, SeaWorld in Orlando, it has some good coasters, but it's not a great park. The company doesn't run them very well. It's not that premium experience like you're going to get at Universal or Disney for sure.
No, it definitely feels crappier. And I remember when we talked about that trip, how they were only running one train on the track, like one individual. And they're like, all right, well, we got to wait because we're going to add a second one. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't start with at least two? What are we, what are we doing here? And there was a lot. It took like 25 minutes to get through four people because they were only running. You had to wait for the whole ride to complete before they got more people on the ride. This is so stupid. It was kind of dirty and trashy, and not the best run park, but they do have some amazing coasters. So I was interested to see if they want to go back there. But I love the fun spot because me and my wife can go in there. We don't have to pay anything. You only pay if you ride. So we'll walk around and eat popcorn while they ride all the crap.
Yeah, Fun Spot's fun. They have go karts too, which are really good. So much cool stuff to do in Florida, and yeah, take the kids. And what a great show this was. Let us know what you think about Mark's trip, family travel, but also the Hyatt. Are you excited for a Hyatt premium card? Do you want all the Hyatt goodness with Chase built on Rakuten? Are you going to change that over? Are you looking forward to a premium card from Bilt? I mean, this is a program that a lot of people are now opening their eyes up to. I think a lot of people have been doing it for years, but finally with mortgage payments, is that going to be the thing that gets you to sign up? Leave a comment. We do a new show every Monday. You can listen, you can watch on YouTube. We also do our Vegas show on another channel Tuesdays and Fridays. Check it out. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Give me 2x earning at gas and grocery, Richard, please, on that premium card. Thanks. Appreciate it.